You're not starting then, Nathaniel?
He's muted himself.
I think you muted me, Ant. That was a whole new experience for me. Wow. Well, I don't know what's going on there, but thank you and welcome to the To Hull and Back podcast again, proudly sponsored by 6 Yards Out and Pearson's Bar, or should I say Old Zoological, because it's changing its name, and that's very exciting. And we've got a whole host, or 4 people today. Very exciting. I'm your host Nathaniel, and I'm joined by Will, Ant, and Tom. So, how are you guys doing?
We are an award-winning podcast. Remember that.
Again, I'm saying that's not my fault.
Just forget that start.
Yeah.
But I'm all right, Nathaniel. Are you?
Good. No, not really. I'm very flustered by this. But what about you, Will?
Closer to death than ever before.
Well, that's true every day, I suppose. And what about you, Tom?
Yeah, well, pretty positive after the performance.
Wonderful, wonderful. So before we get on to talk about the football, I think as Will's name on today's episode shows, we've got to talk about the tragic events in Turkey and the fantastic work that the owner, Acun Ilıcalı, is doing. He's building homes for people who've lost their homes in the earthquake there. Same with Syria as well. And there is a possibility to donate to show your support for Turkey, who the club have great strong links with now. The Hull City website is called Tigers for Turkey, so do donate if you've got some money free. That will absolutely help the people over in Turkey. And again, I commend the work that the owner is doing, and it's been a very emotional time for him and for Tufan, who I heard talking in the press conference about it. So I think we've got to acknowledge that at the start of the episode. And again, if you can donate, that would be a really positive thing to do. However, another positive thing was Hull City's performance on Saturday. We beat Cardiff. That's 2 wins in a row at home, 2 clean sheets, 4 goals. Another fantastic performance from the Irish Cafu, Cyrus Christie, who's got the title of the name of this episode. So, Ant, I'll start with you. Another fantastic win.
Yeah. We had a bit of reservation, didn't we? Saying QPR were a side that we're going to come and try and play, and that kind of suits us more when we play at home. But the sides that tend to sit back a bit more, we struggle to break down. And we knew that Cardiff were going to be solid in a defensive capacity. So it would be interesting to see if we continued that momentum from QPR, and I think we did. I think obviously the huge moment of the game was Ingram saving the penalty. I think if that goes in, it's a totally different game. But the fact that he saved it, kudos to him as well, because he's got the pressure of, Caldalo on the bench now as well. So, that save there puts us on for, picks the confidence of the players up. They go on and play well. We had a couple of shaky moments towards the end where we tried to defend it, but I see it as that now we're displaying different sides to our game. We looked very threatening going forwards, but then we also showed that we've got a defensive and organised side to us when we need to have it. Which, if you're going to put consistent runs together and try and do an unlikely playoff chase, you've got to have that bit of flexibility in your system and your capabilities in order to get over the line. And like we say, 2 clean sheets, our first clean sheets of the season in 2 games in a row at home. So, yeah, very good. Very, very impressed.
Wonderful. I agree with absolutely everything there. Tom, did you think the game went as you expected it would?
Yeah, I felt that we'd struggle to break them down, but we kept on probing, and early on in the season, would sort of, if things weren't going our way, would sort of start sitting back, and then we started making mistakes, and the opposition would get on top of us. But the key word was probably persistence. We kept on going, we kept on attacking, was putting some good play together, confident of bringing the ball out of the back now, and I think we got our just rewards when Christie obviously produce that moment of brilliance, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I've run out of fancy questions to ask. So, Will, what did you think?
I don't know why y'all were worried last week, because I was the only one who said we were going to win, and we actually did.
Oh, didn't I say it would be a 1-1? And
yeah,
it was quite a tight game, because of course it took a fair while until we got that first goal. So I'll take that. I'll take some credit for that.
Take some credit for getting the score wrong.
Getting it wrong. But that was pretty close.
As Anne said, the penalty was decisive, I think, in terms of how the game went. We had to have a few chances before that, which, we create a lot of chances that we're not putting away, and we need to sort of rectify that. But can't argue when when someone like Irish Christie, that man could score 20 goals in a season if he had a better shot on it.
That's true.
The positions he picks up. The positions he picks up all the time. Like, he's almost like a right winger. Like
that game, it was ridiculous how often the centre backs would have the ball, and either him or Slater would be completely open at all times. One of them would be completely open all the time, and it was ridiculous how often we'd pass it to one of them, and they were able to easily get the ball past the defender.
Yeah, I think when you've got a fullback like Cyrus Christie, you've got to like push forward. I think Cyrus Christie himself, like if he takes up a high position, that forces their winger to track back, and that's how we can sort of get our impetus into the game. And earlier on in the season, we didn't have that, but now since we've got the out ball with Cyrus Christie, he's always going to be there. If he's the one that's causing most trouble. Like he's a fullback, but he's the one that looks most dangerous from an attacking sense. I think, when in the modern game, I think that's crucial. You see a lot of teams with attacking fullbacks, and he's arguably one of the best, if not the best, in the league currently.
Yeah. I think we'll have a little debate about that when we get onto the most exciting part of the podcast, the combined lineups towards the end. Even if I do say so myself. But yeah, it reminds me a bit of when we had the audio device with those diags. That's what Sean McLaughlin and Alfie Jones are doing. Whereas,
don't mention that bad kissing weasel.
Well, no, but that was the difference is that against Cardiff, that was definitely a tactic just for that game. Christie, got to make the most of him. Whereas under McCann with device, that's the only thing we ever did. We've got a bit of ability to switch it up a bit more. And I thought that the goal was really terrific. Not just the work that Christie did cutting on his left, but the ball from Oscar out wide. We rarely see him hold the ball up so well. That was a really good pass. And then I remember just one line of commentary from just a Manchester derby years ago that you can tell they're quality players because they're firing the passes at each other really quickly, and that's what Slater did to Christie. So clearly, Christie has a great touch. I'd say he's one of the best fullbacks in the league. We definitely know he's one of the best. So we've mentioned the penalty. No disputes about the penalty, Will, I imagine?
No, I see him given all the time.
Yeah.
Though, Rossini was very unhappy about one at the other end on Connolly, which maybe could have been given. At the time, it looked a bit iffy, and I've seen it back. He definitely is caught, but he's, I think, a bit too honest. And tries to keep going. If he'd gone down, he'd have probably got a penalty for it, but at the end of the day, it don't really matter because we won.
Yeah, it was clumsy, wasn't it? I mean, it's those kind of tackles there. He's gone to block the cross, and he's just literally chopped it back. And when that happens, and you follow through, you've got the legs. It's a foul. There's players in the Premier League that do that all the time. Players like Zaha, these tricky wingers that like to feign a cross and then turn back on themselves. If you commit to the tackle, you're in trouble. The best thing to do in that situation, you stand them up and push them back out wide, but. I think Elder gave away a few silly fouls at the beginning of the game, but after the penalty, he improved massively.
He had a good game overall.
He did. I think after the penalty, he really sort of took responsibility and said, right, I've been a bit daft here and I'm going to try and take the game to him, and he did it. I think he's played really well since coming back into the team.
Yeah. I think his strongest part to his game is sort of, you don't see a lot from defenders these days, but sort of covering his back post. When the ball comes across, he's always more often than not there to clear the danger. I think that's one of his most impressive parts. Yes, he's not the best going forward, but I think defensively you can't really fault him that much, to be fair. Apart from a few clumsy errors, but every player makes them. So,
yeah, you're right. Well, you do see those given all the time. It's one of the most common penalties, really, that cutting in and going in with the other foot. But then Danny Blanchard's mentioned he needs to mention the partnership of Jones and McLaughlin, which has been really strong this season, and I would agree. So, of course, we've mentioned Elder. He was playing at left back. Quite surprisingly, Jacob Greaves didn't start. Of course, Rossini has mentioned you shouldn't change a winning side, and he didn't. So, I mean, I guess one of the big debates is, and you mentioned it yesterday with Gabe, didn't you? It's potentially good for the future to have that plan in place. Elaborate on what you said.
The thing is, so obviously Gabe was basically mentioning that if you're going to try and replicate club models, like you look at Brentford and Brighton that do it consistently, where they have players that play exceptionally well in the roles that they're given in the team, and then get sold on for a lot of money, but they've already got a ready-made replacement to slot straight into that side, so it makes no difference. So the club benefits financially, but then you also don't miss out on the playing side of things because you've got an able-bodied replacement ready. We've got that with McLaughlin, and you see the problem with Greaves at the minute is I think, you know, if you weren't an Hull City fan, you'd be wondering, you know, he'd be going straight back into the team. But at the minute, where does he get in? You know, you can't drop McLaughlin or Jones, and Elder's been playing well since he's come in. Now, whether or not it's a tactical thing where, you know, we're playing away at Stoke and he maybe fancies a bit more of a taller physical player of Greaves, and that's how he gets back in. But certainly on form, you can't justify dropping Elder or any of the back. I mean, we'd all been pining for Sean McLaughlin since the beginning of the season, and for some bizarre reason, Shotta never fancied him. I don't even think he played under Dawson, did he? So it's quite odd that it's taken until Rosinia to get him back into the side. I mean, we all know how good he can be. Last season, he was consistently good. He had maybe one or two bad games. The Bristol City one probably was the reason that Shotta didn't fancy him for this season, where he had a howler. But the whole team had a howler that day. We lost 5-0. So it's hard to pin it just on him, obviously. But like you say, back to the original point, if we ever did lose Jacob Greaves, for example, in summer to a large fee, we've got Sean McLaughlin there who's more than ready to take that spot if he hasn't already. So I do think that the long length contract that Greaves has got means that it's very unlikely that he's going to be leaving in the next year or two, especially with how Adjan is in terms of his ambitions, where he wants to take the club, because it's going to be similar to KLP, I think, where he's going to say, I'll say no to every bid that comes in until he tells me he wants to go. And I can't see Jacob Greaves wanting to go. And on the other hand, also can't see a Premier League club offering an insane amount of money for him just yet because of how young he is.
Yeah, and he's probably going to have...
the point on...
Go on, Tom.
Sorry. I think the point on McLaughlin is true. I remember last season, McCann didn't fancy him, but he was sort of the catalyst on that run that we went on before McCann was sort of sacked. He came into the team and he looks so short. I think he's the perfect defender for Rosinia. Like sort of a Rolls Royce to a centre back. The way he comes out with the ball, he's not scared to sort of drive out with it. You know, pick them passes. And I think, you know, all the best teams now have a sort of a centre back that's able to play them diagonal switches. And McLaughlin's, you know, shown that he can do that. You know, we've seen it plenty of times. I remember obviously that goal that he set up for KLP, a beautiful pass. Like, I mean, you know, he's doing it on a regular basis now, and you know that's certainly good for us.
This Alfie Jones erasure needs to stop, because everyone's going on about McLaughlin, and Alfie Jones is playing just as fucking good.
Who's Alfie Jones?
Exactly.
You're right. He doesn't.
Alfie Jones's form came back as soon as he cut his hair. He was quite shaky at the beginning of the season with Jones. I was very
the
disappointed.
reverse Samson. His hair is taking away his power.
Good biblical reference there, Will.
He's found his feet lately, and I think the system that Rosinia plays suits him more, because we know Jones is very comfortable with the ball at his feet. He's naturally a midfielder. That's his position. I think it's very easy to forget that he's not actually a centre-back. He can just play there, and we've just chosen to deploy him there for the last 2 years, and he's doing very well at it. So he's very comfortable with the ball at his feet. So in this system, we are getting the best out of the likes of McLaughlin, Greaves, Alfie Jones. It's a shame we can't have the three at the back formation and losing, because you have to lose an attacker. And you don't really want to do that in the current system we're playing, because, you know, Jones, Maka and Greaves as a back three was phenomenal last season, probably would be even better this year. But like we say, you lose elsewhere on the pitch, and we can't really afford to do that.
Mind you, I suppose when Greaves has played left back, that almost can become a back three very easily, because Christie's so far up on the other wing as well. I mean, you have the other winger, whoever that is.
That's how we played, I think. When obviously before Alder came back into the team, you saw obviously both Greaves and Christie were sort of driving up the field, but then sometimes Greaves would just sort of be obviously tucking into the centre back. So we'd have three centre backs and then Christie high up the pitch. I think it works. I think Elder's doing that now, to be fair. Like he's sort of, when Christie's that high up the pitch, Elder's more defensive, and I think that sort of works well.
Elder likes cutting into the middle of the pitch a lot at the moment, I've noticed.
Yeah.
He's taking up the position, then like the Cancelo position, you know, Man City. Essential midfield.
Yeah.
He seems to like to do it, and Slater will just replace him out wide.
Yeah.
I think that's a key to what we've been doing well lately, is that I think someone pointed out on Twitter that we seem to have a formation when we're in possession and a formation when we're out of possession. And when we're in possession, obviously, like we say, Christie and Elder push on and go central. And then the back three, whoever's playing left back or right back, whoever's gone, the other one stays, and it becomes a back three, and then Seri sits just in front of them, and it allows us to sort of overload on either side and have options to pass to. But then when we're out of possession, it drops to like a 4-4-2 almost, so that we've pretty much got every passing lane covered and we can stay organised and structured, so that the press is at the same time, rather than what we saw under Shota, where it was kind of like if and when they fancied it. We're looking very organised in all aspects of our tactical system at the minute. It's looking very good.
Yeah, because I think we're bringing in Connolly as well, someone that's capable of sort of dropping a little bit deeper. Not too far. Connolly and Estepinian sort of rotate well. You've seen how well teams defending a 4-4-2. I think it's sort of the perfect balance. We've got the players now like across the front that can sort of either drop into behind the striker or play out wide. Like Connolly, if he wanted to, could play out wide, but he can also play centrally. Longman can play centrally and also play out wide. You've got different options. So, it's looking good as well.
Yeah, good options.
On Oscar, actually, there was something Rossini brought up. He was as good, I think, defensively as he was offensively in that game.
Yeah.
Like, in his own box, he was superb in his clearances and his work rate. And Rossini himself pointed it out after the game to the players. He pointed out to the that's exactly how he wants every player on the team to play exactly like that. That's a fantastic mentality to try and instill constantly. And if it works, the club will go so far if they have an entire 11 who play like that.
Yeah, because I remember when Oscar came in that his best sort of attribute was sort of pressing from the front. That's how he got a lot of his goals, like sort of playing on defensive mistakes, and then and he's always in the box as well. So I think if you've got a striker that's able to press back and then obviously gets himself in the box as well, I think it's sort of perfect centre forward. And obviously Oscar and Connolly are building up a good partnership. So it's like obviously when we do get like Teti, Try or Aliar back, it's like with the current team they're not getting in right now. So but it's good to have them options on the bench, I guess.
Absolutely. So I think we're all in agreement that Elder shouldn't be dropped. I mean, I'd like to point out that he did give away a penalty, but of course he did play well. So I think there's not going to be many changes for Stoke.
As I've made quite clear, I'm obsessed with Jacob Greaves, and I don't think he should be dropped for Jacob Greaves. So there you go.
Well, a good unbiased opinion there. Wow. So I don't really think there'll be many changes. And how did you think you did? Because I think Tufan's brought off relatively early, wasn't he? So would that be the one change? Although who's fit enough to come back in for the attacking wise? I don't know if there is anyone.
I'm always an advocate of you don't change your winning team. It makes it's different.
Let's pull that up again.
Yes.
It's different if you play Saturday, Tuesday. You obviously need to rotate it, but I think when you've got games every week, you need to keep the same team that's winning because they're building those relationships, that understanding, that system. It's almost become second nature to know where your players are. I think the only change that you could justify making at some point would be, I just think we don't see the best of Slater out wide. I like him in the middle. Not to say he doesn't play well out wide, because Slater plays well wherever he plays. He will always be 110% wherever he plays. But I just think that in terms of natural width, in the games where you need to be a bit more incisive when you're creating chances, the games where you say Sheffield United's away, where you're not going to create many chances, you'd like to see that more direct running at defenders kind of play, whereas Slater's more of a workhorse. And if you were ever going to drop Tufan, you'd probably put Slater back in the middle with Seri, and then you'd look at any of the wide men, Longman or Ebio away for his debut to come in. I don't think Ebio will go straight into the starting 11. I think Longman will start and Ebio would come on for him, or Slater will start and Ebio will come on. But like we say, we've got players to come back for it. Pelkas, Tete, Aliar. There's so many players to come back into this team, and players that can play in so many different positions, that it's going to get to a point now where picking the starting 11 is going to be now impossible, where we've been so used to having limited squad to pick from. Yeah, I mean we've had the team pick itself because of injuries, so now that players are coming back, it's very nice.
I think the fact we haven't mentioned Greg Dockett yet is another thing as well. He goes under the radar, his performances. He covers every bit of grass, and I think right now he's undroppable as well. Him and Seri are building up a good partnership. The only parts of Dockett's game, I think, is quite rash sometimes in possession. Like, he'll give away the ball, but I think in terms of his work rate, winning the ball back, I full energy for 90 minutes. You can't go wrong with that. And next to someone like Seri, I think he's the perfect foil because Seri gets in the ball, dictates, and Doherty's driving forward. And obviously, if you put Slater back into central midfield, dropping Doherty, and that's probably why Rossini's fitted him in that wide, because he knows that Doherty's playing so well right now.
Yeah, Doherty's doing the dirty work, and you only notice someone doing that when they do it wrong.
Yeah,
so
clearly
that's true.
Exactly,
2 clean sheets in a row, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest mention he'll get is probably winning goal of the season at the very end, because that goal he scored at Blackpool was brilliant. But other than that, I don't really remember a whole amount of stuff he's done. But it's off the ball work that is allowing Seri to be on the ball.
The goal of the season will be when Matt Ingram smashed it in from 30 yards in the playoff final in the last minute.
What, to get consolation?
Absolutely, it's a consolation. We're 4-0 down at that point.
Yeah. Just I might as well try it. Yeah. But speaking of Matt Ingram, well, we'll get onto that in just a second, Tom. But Ingram against Darlow, I was I guess proved wrong. I put Darlow in the combined lineup for the last game, and then of course Ingram another clean sheet and a fantastic penalty save, because usually when a keeper saves a penalty, it's not a very good penalty, whereas this one was quite low in the corner. It was a good penalty, wasn't it? But not good enough to beat Super Matt Ingram. So I guess until Ingram concedes a bunch of goals, hopefully never, he should keep the shirt, shouldn't he? And
yeah, I mean, we said it on the episode before that there's no real reason to drop Ingram that's justifiable at the minute. I mean, we say this, and then obviously Ingram was similar last time when he got dropped for Baxter out the blue. But you see, because you don't quite know what the agreement was with Darlow in terms of how many games they expect him to play, kind of thing. But
he's not coming to be back up.
No, he's not coming in to be back up. So it's a matter of when, not if. I think when he gets replaced. But I do think that Rosinia is probably in a tough place at the minute, because he's like, I can't really drop Ingram after 2 clean sheets. I can't reward him by saying, well done, mate, you're out the team. Because, what's that going to do to him confidence-wise? Hopefully it would motivate him more, but, it's not the best for your mentality when you've just saved a penalty, helps your team go on to win the game, and then you're replaced by the deadline day signing. So it's a weird situation. I expect him to keep his place, like you say, up until maybe we have he makes a mistake or a couple of bad games where we concede 2 or 3. But I can't drop him. You can't drop him, can you?
Yeah, I think with Darlow, Darlow coming in. Yeah, I think with Darlow coming in, usually a goalkeeper will probably feel threatened. So, that there's someone there trying to take their place. But with Ingram right now, he's performing that well that I think he feels that he belongs in that number 1 spot. I think if you had a fair goalkeeper, then England would probably be thinking, my position's threatened here. But right now, I think he should be staying in the team. But like you said, Darlow's not coming here to sit on the bench. I think he'll get his opportunity eventually.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully he doesn't, because we want clean sheets until the end of the season.
Yeah,
going well.
I think what'll happen is it'll depend on how the league goes. If we're in a position where it looks like, oh yeah, we're not going down, and it looks like, no, we're not going to the playoffs, you might give Darlow a run because he knows there's nothing to lose from it.
Yeah, just let him play anyway. Yeah. But I mean, with the lineups and with Ingram, I hope that we have the same lineup, every week, so we keep winning. That'd be the perfect thing. Of course, I wouldn't be happy because Longman wouldn't get to play, but at least to get to come off the bench every game like he has been doing. But then, yes, as you've mentioned, Tom, some people have started to look at May hotels in London for the playoffs. Is that a little bit too soon? Because we are, is it 4 points off? We have a shot, don't we? Very dark horses, maybe?
We have a shot at the playoffs.
Will, you says it's too early. Elaborate.
I mean, I think it's too early to do it in April.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, unless you're actually in it.
I'd only book a hotel if you get your money back if we didn't get there. And that's what we're doing anyway.
Yeah, if you're going to book an hotel, make sure you get the free cancellation, you get your refund, all that stuff.
Or just go and have a nice holiday.
Alternatively, yes.
Yeah, you can go to London whenever you want.
I placed a bet the other week. it was Paddy Power. I got 5-1 on City to finish top 12, and I put 50 quid on it because I thought that's a certain. So if we finish top 12, I get £300. So
top 12, absolutely. I think it would be
quite
quite difficult for us to.
Yeah, so we're top 12 now. But, so
I think we'll finish about where we are now. So you get it.
My 11th place prediction looks good. Certainly does look good. But Ant, are you slightly more optimistic? Can we dare to dream?
See, I like the fact that Rosini is encouraging it, because it's been so long since we've actually had any real ambition and optimism about, you know, where we're heading as a club. That the fact that we're within 4 points of the playoffs. Yes, we've played more games than most of them above us, but we're within 4 points of the playoffs as it stands, with, you know, loads of games to play. So realistically, we are in the mix, and you can't really ignore us. We've lost twice since Rosini has taken over, so that's 2 losses in 12 games. We're beating the teams that we're expected to beat, which is something we don't normally do, which is showing that we've turned a corner. I just think that the run might have come a bit too early, and that it'll be interesting to see how we respond from 1 or 2 bad defeats in a row. See what the character of the side's like, see if they can halt, you know, losing runs before they continue to 3, 4, 5 games like we've seen it before. But everything we've seen so far, we're scoring more goals, we're conceding far less. The players look like they're enjoying themselves. The atmosphere's back. Free travel for the rest of the season. Everything's just adding together to sort of this feel-good factor, and it's very underrated, that feel that if the whole club is pulling in the same direction, it literally can take you anywhere. So yeah, I think we won't finish in the top 6, but I do think we'll be in the mix for the vast majority of the season left. I think we've just got a little bit too much to do to catch the teams. I don't think
it's the quality. I think it's the fact that there's that many teams around us with the quality as well that are going to stop us. You've got like Middlesbrough on a run, West Brom, Norwich now. You know, they've looked good since they've got a new manager in. But that game will be very interesting. If we can go there, nick a point, or even nick all 3, I think that'll show that they've got the credentials to finish in the playoffs.
Because they are poor at home, Norwich. If we can come away from Norwich with a win, I think the vast majority of the fans will start to think, do you know what, we're on to something here. But, you know, let's see where the next 2 games leave us.
Yes.
I think we'll probably be saying that every 2 games.
Yeah, exactly.
Until, you know, something goes wrong.
As you should.
Taking a game at a time, lads.
Yeah. So I think, you know, we are extremely dark horses. I mean, I think if we were another team and you saw that we were just 4 points, or 5 points off the playoffs at this point, you'd think we've got a chance, but it is going to be quite difficult. But hopefully we get some more points in the next 2 games, which I think we're going to look ahead to soon. But one other thing got to mention, some more positive news. Adama Traore is back. He played for the academy team and even hit the post with a free kick. So he almost scored. So how good would it be to have him back? It'll feel like a new signing. To use another cliche. Don't all answer at once.
I think with Traore, in terms of where he fits into the team, I think I've not watched much at all, but I think he's that sort of high energy midfielder. I think he's sort of slot into necessary if he played, or maybe perhaps a bit further forward. But with the system we're playing now, we're almost playing with 2 strikers and 2 central midfielders. So unless he played in behind the striker where sort of Connolly is now, then he's not getting in the team, and you know, unless he makes an impression, I guess.
Yeah, it's probably going to be difficult for him to get actually into the team and start lots of games. He might just be an important sort of squad player to have maybe next season with a proper pre-season. He can do better. But so yeah, 2 games to preview. First is Stoke, and we haven't won away at Stoke since what year, guys?
2006. I looked. Is it in the league?
Yes, because we beat them in the League Cup with Henriksen and Ryan Mason goals.
Ryan Mason's only goal for us.
Except the one he scored at Bournemouth.
I remember the last win. Was it 3?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that game.
Was it
3-1? 2-1. 2-1 in the League Cup. Last
in
the league.
The last time we won there in the league, 3-2. It was 3-0.
Duffy. I remember Darryl. Oh no, that was Sheffield United.
That's 4-2. And
yeah,
lots of factual inaccuracies here.
It's one of the worst away days in the league, Stoke, but
it's shit. It's a shit away day. Put it out there.
Will,
So
you
it's
said you
swearing.
weren't going to swear.
it's always freezing as well. It's always freezing.
We need to do it.
Kick you from the pod.
A swear watch for Will. He actually got quite far in the episode this time.
Well,
he did well.
2, isn't it? You did it twice. But, yeah, we haven't won there. Haven't won there in about 17 years. Stoke are 21st in the home table, but they won their last league home game 4-0 against Reading. So I don't know what to think, whether they're good at home or not. How do we think this one will go? Are we confident we can get some more points, Will?
You have to be confident to get some more points if we're on a form we're on. And
yeah, the dream.
Stoke are in very mixed form. They're consistently inconsistent, as the cliche would go. Yeah,
well said. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, I think you've got to be confident, like Will said there. You're going off the back of back-to-back wins, clean sheets. Our form away from home is one of the best in the league. Since we came back from the break. You go there full of confidence. I think with Stoke not doing too well there at the bottom, usually you think, typical City, turn is over. But I hope we've turned a corner and we can sort of carry on that momentum that we're showing.
Just want to point out my stepdad has finally commented on one of these episodes after a year of watching. So close to having an episode that could have been broadcast on our radio partners, West Hull FM. So, Will, you've let him down. I hope you feel bad.
I'll send Adi the time code for when I swore.
Good.
There's just a random blot out.
30 minutes in, wasn't it? And of course, we have very good away form, but hopefully it won't have flipped where the away form's as bad as our home form was. So, will we get 3 wins in a row?
I think so. Like we say, you can look into all the omens with Stoke are a bogey team for us, and they're playing quite bad and we're playing quite well. So, your typical City comes into it, but typical City was expected against Cardiff, and look what happened. So, it's. What is it? 5 wins from the last 8 away from home. You've got to go there confident, haven't you? So you've got to hope that the momentum that we're carrying. I mean, the one loss we've had away from home since Rossi took over was a very good performance against Sheffield United. Yeah. So if we can replicate something like that hard work and that grit, and like we say, playing away from home kind of suits us. And I think because of Stoke's position, they're going to be feeling the pressure from the fans to have to come out and attack us and win the game. They'll probably highlight this as a winnable game because we're Hull City, and that tends to happen. Whereas that'll probably play right into our hands. So I'm expecting a win. I think the clean sheet run will end, but I think it'll be I think it'll be a win, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'll go with a 2-1 win. What about you, Will?
3-0. I'm just going to keep predicting that until we lose.
Yeah, fair enough. Tom?
I'm going to go 2-0, but I don't want to predict wins because I'd rather not. But
so 2-0 to Stoke.
Now we've all predicted a win, we'll lose.
Yeah, perhaps so. And what's your number for the score?
2-1.
2-1 to City. To Hull City. Good.
Which City?
Well, yeah, definitely jinxed it there. Now, it's the most exciting time of the episode. It's the combined lineup for Stoke against Hull City. So, for
you
people
intentionally
listening,
spell McLaughlin's name wrong because that's annoyed me.
I'm pretty sure it is right. Or am I thinking of the goalkeeper who used to play for Northampton or something? I don't know. I was considering putting Macca, but everyone else has got their proper name spelt. So, it's Ingham in goal, Greaves left back, McLaughlin, and then is it Ben Wilmot, the Stoke centre back, Irish Cafu, Seri, Lewis Baker, Regan Slater, Aaron Connolly, Tyrese Campbell, and then up front it's Oscar Estepinian. So I don't think this has, except the
Lewis Baker's right, to be fair. I think he's probably one of the best players, but Dockett is out.
Your restraint and not putting Longman in every single one of these is incredible.
He's got a picture with Longman in every position somewhere, I bet.
I should do that.
Move Campbell, but I want to see if he's there. I want to see if behind Campbell.
I can't move it. It's a picture, Tom.
Yeah, but if you could, then
if you only have 3 on, the third person gets omitted from it completely. So it's nicer.
Yes, that's true. Exactly. So I think this one's. I mean, of course, I think it's good. Do we agree with this? Mostly, you said Lewis Baker's a good choice. I don't think there's anything.
I would have put Timon in at left back because Greaves isn't playing.
But I would have put Elder in left back because he will be playing.
I think over the last couple of years, Timon's shown that he's a very, very good left back at this level. He was one of their best players last season when they weren't playing very well, especially in the wing back formation that they were using. I don't think he's been as good this year, but if you were going to pick a natural left back, just because obviously Elder's only played a couple of games and Timon's played more of the season, I would put him in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm also not going to complain because if Jacob Greaves is fit, Jacob Greaves plays.
Yeah. I don't want any snakes on the graphic here, so that's why I didn't put Josh Timon on.
Correct answer.
Yeah. So, and I think as we're looking at this, we may as well jump ahead to the Norwich City one as well, and then we can move on to talking about that game. So this one, relatively similar. Ingram in goal again. Christie is at left back.
Christie at left back? What the fuck's going on here?
Now, Max Aarons has to be in the team because he's one of the best players in the league, but Christie's so good that he has to be in the team as well. And because Greaves isn't a left back and he might not play because Elder's playing, I thought, well, Christie scored with his left foot. Christie can play with his left foot. He's left back. Greaves and Hanley in the middle. Surrey and Kenny McLean's Norwich's highest rated player.
Four strikers on there now.
What's going on here?
You've had a mare with this one, Nathaniel.
No, Josh Sargent and Connolly.
4-4-2?
Well, because you need Pookie and Oscar up front, and then Sargent and Connolly can play on the wing.
4-2-4.
4 strikers, you'll
Whack 'em up here, whack 'em up there.
score so many goals, just score so many goals. You might concede a few, but with that back four, you won't be conceding any. Mind you, it's more like a 2-2-6 because Christie and Aarons will probably be playing so far up the pitch. So maybe this one's more controversial, but I thought Christie left back was probably quite an interesting thing. And then he can cut in and score with his right foot instead. So
if you're an audio viewer, it's a shame that you just couldn't see the visible confusion of Will throughout that entire explanation from Nathaniel. It was wonderful.
Yeah, well, apologies, but it's just a bit of fun. Mind you, the most stressful thing is trying to work out which colours from the various teams should be on the kit, because that one was green and orange, but it could have been. It could have been amber and green or yellow, so it doesn't really look like either of the teams. But Norwich are also very bad at home, as Ant said. They are 16th in the home table, and so they're even lower than we are. Of course, David Wagner is the new manager there. He's done fairly well. They've scored a fair few goals. I think they beat Preston, Coventry with 4 goals each. But then at home, they've still not been that good. They lost 3-0 to Burnley, but then Burnley are beating everyone at the moment. So what was the year that we last beat Norwich away from home? Does anyone know?
2011.
2010, exactly. Or the 2011 season.
Corrin's header.
Kearney's free kick, Corrin's header.
Yeah. So what do we think about this game? You've said already it would be a sort of a very big point to get anything out of the Norwich game. Well, what about you?
I think a couple of weeks ago would have said it was a free hit.
Mm-hmm.
But now
Is it still a free hit?
Bit of confidence. Well, I think with our position in the table, it is. But if we have ambitions of the playoffs, then I think if we could come away with a point, it'd be good. But I won't be too disheartened if we lost the game, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, do you think we can dare to dream if we get a win there?
I think it's a free hit, but we're going to win 3-0.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just jumping right onto that, and
it's into the future, I think.
Do you think we can get anything out of the Norwich game? Of course, it's difficult to predict, not knowing that we might get 5 injuries in the Stoke match.
Yeah, I'd take a point at Norwich. To be fair, it's one of those games where because they're quite bad at home and our away form, we should probably look there at going and being quite optimistic about trying to get something from them. We beat them at home. It'd be nice to do the double over a team like Norwich, who were expected to be up there. So, it's one of these, isn't it? This game, I think, will really sort of send out a message to the league about our capabilities this season. If we come away from a win at Norwich, I think everyone else will start looking at us and being like, do you know what, these are actually up there and they're in the mix. But again, if we just avoid defeat at Norwich and then look at trying to keep this loss count down, I think we can be happy with that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It would be a very big statement win. And I think if you've got to achieve anything in a league, you've got to beat the teams that are trying to do the same thing as you. They're obviously another playoff hunting team. So if we could get a point or a win there. Danny says 4-point return will do me nicely next week. How many points out of the next 2 games would be a success, Will? Is it 4? It's probably 4. I'd say 4.
To be honest, I'll take. I know I keep joking about
3
the 3-0.
points.
I was going to say, I know I keep joking about the 3-0 thing, but I'll take 3 points.
Yeah, just to keep towards the division we are, and get a bit of momentum maybe, and it's probably more likely to get win at Stoke.
Would we be happy with 2 points? Don't lose them, but only pick up 1 point in each game.
I would actually. I would.
I think I would.
Only if they're entertaining 2 or draws. If they're 0-0,
I would happily take 2 0-0s.
I suppose it would be nice to have 4 clean sheets in a row. But,
exactly. Because it means the clean sheets keep coming.
I think Norwich has the potential with how we play and how they play. To be quite a high scoring
7-4,
like a 4-3 or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember that game against a couple of years ago. Harry Wilson scored
4-3.
I think James. Yeah, it was 4-3.
4-3. Yeah.
James Madison scored that trick, didn't he?
We did 5-all against Bristol the same season, didn't we?
That's what I'm thinking of, 5-all against Bristol.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Madison scored a hat trick, but Harry Wilson was better.
Somehow.
Yeah, and of course, he's gone on to have a very good career. Well, both of them have, to be honest. Although Madison's probably a bit more good than Harry Wilson. But yeah, so definitely an opportunity for some points, given that we have a good away record and they've got fairly poor home records. So I think 3 or 4 points would definitely be good. Has anyone else got anything to mention going into these 2 more games, or shall we wrap things up?
It's going to be nice. It's going to be nice having massively full away ends, thanks to the 3 away travel.
Yeah, I think that has helped with the away run recently as well, hasn't it?
We've taken 30 coaches.
37 coaches at the moment are going to Stoke as it stands.
Is it? 37. I'm on coach 7. I think. 5.
Wait, really? How small are the coaches?
It's like 2,500 away fans, isn't there?
I think at the moment it's 2,700. I think is what it is.
I think you're going to fit about 60 on a coach. 60 on a coach.
Like that, yeah.
The difference with the Stoke game is there'll be more coaches because of the free travel. So people will go on the coach when they normally wouldn't do, because it's free travel to go. So your people who would normally get like a train or go on the car would rather do the free travel, so they're going on the bus instead. So the normal number of buses increases tenfold anyway.
I don't usually do time travel, but past few games, I've got to take
free.
That free travel.
You can't know.
Sounds like some sort of GCSE maths question. This: how many buses would it take to fill an away end at Stoke? Enshep says no pay on the day. So if you are going to the Stoke game and you're on one of those buses, do make sure you've got a ticket, which I think's quite common sense.
I don't think you can get on the buses without a ticket, can you?
No,
you can. You don't have to show your match ticket.
Because I thought you had to buy a ticket to qualify for the free Tiger travel. I thought that's how it works.
To be fair, you can't just walk on.
Yeah,
you can't. You have to book a ticket.
Just get a bus.
You have to name before you get on the coach, don't they? So if you haven't bought a ticket, your name's not going to be down.
You can't just say jump on, but unless you say someone else's name, you could just say someone else's name. But
yeah. Well, I think it'll be exciting to have Pelkas and Ebby away back as well. We had a comment right at the start saying that the club hasn't released a Malcolm introduction video, which is a shame. I always like those player interviews, but I suppose we'll probably be seeing his debut, so hopefully he makes an impact. But other than that, thank you, Will and Tom and Ant and everyone who's commented on today's episode. Hope you've enjoyed, and we'll be back very soon, hopefully, to talk about not just 3 points, but 6 points after 2 3-0 wins away at Stoke and Norwich, as Will would say. So thanks again, and we'll see you next week.